Now, from the #1 night team, the I-Team learning new insight
about the suspect accused of raping and impregnating a woman who couldn't speak or move.
High school teachers and coaches opening up about the boy they knew who's accused of this heinous crime.
Police putting a Gilbert community on high alert.
Police are asking for your help finding the man in this sketch after a woman says he attacked her.
Week 5 of the government shutdown dragging on, and it's time for you to weigh in. When do you think it'll end?
An alleged bank robber and killer denied bail, and a body found frozen in a pool. We've got tonight's crime lines.
Barry Goldwater, the politician and photographer. A peek inside the late senator's exhibit in Scottsdale.
Arizona's news leader in action for you tonight.
12 News at 10 starts right now. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. Our big story on 12 News at 10. The I-Team digging deeper into the past of the nurse accused of raping and impregnating a disabled patient.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Gonzalez in for Mark Curtis. Tonight, we get a glimpse of that suspect, Nathan Sutherland, when he was just a teen in Gilbert.
Team 12's Bianca Bono joins us live in the studio. And Bianca, you talked with people who knew the suspect in high school.
Yeah, guys, I spoke to classmates who tell me Sutherland was a nice, fairly popular student. We're learning he was on the football team, and his coach described him as a...
Thank you. Police say they were able to arrest Sutherland based on DNA evidence, but now his lawyer says that he plans to test the DNA evidence himself. So tonight we verify that.
Yesterday, during his first court appearance, Nathan Sutherland's lawyer hinted that police may have actually gotten the DNA test wrong. Paternity tests are usually done with swabs inside the cheek. Half of your DNA comes from your mother, the other half from your father. Right now, Phoenix police have the mother's and baby's DNA, and we talked to an ASU criminologist who says whatever DNA is left should match the suspect.
Nothing is foolproof, nothing is 100%, and that is why the uniqueness of DNA profiles is demonstrated via statistical analysis.
So tonight we can verify that paternity testing is done with percentages like 99%. Our expert says getting that part wrong would be really hard.
But accidents do happen, and a sample could be labeled with the wrong name or even contaminated with other DNA. So we can also verify that it is possible that a paternity test could be wrong, but experts say that is pretty unlikely.
Gilbert police sounding the alarm tonight after a woman says she was attacked.
Police detailing the attack that happened back in December, but new tonight they are releasing a suspect sketch, hoping someone can identify this man.
Team 12's Nicole Zymek joining us live from Gilbert. And Nicole, you actually spoke with this victim.
Yeah, we did, Mike. And at this point, this is the man that police are, especially a lot of teens, and she wants to make sure that they're not surprised by anything. Yeah. We're live in Gilbert. Nicole Zymek, 12 News.
All right. Thanks so much, Nicole. Well, a pitch to put down the cell phone behind the wheel.
Yeah, it's a new push from lawmakers here in Arizona right now, and it comes just 2 weeks after Salt River officer Clayton Townsend was hit and killed by a driver who admitted to texting while driving. Now, senators are working to ban texting and driving across the state.
State Senator Kate Brophy McGee introduced a bill that would require drivers statewide to go hands-free behind the wheel. Members of the fallen officer's family were on hand when the senator announced the bill. They agree something needs to be done about this issue.
This is a change we have to make. It's a social standard that everybody seems to think is okay, and it's not. We have to get the phones out of our hands.
This is the DUI issue of our times, and we need to educate and reculture our driving public to follow the rules.
Why not put in?
According to Senator Brophy McGee, other states that have similar forms of legislation have seen a 16% reduction in fatalities. Arizona is one of just 3 states without a texting and driving law.
Time to take a look at some of your hot headlines tonight. One person is dead and another in critical condition following a shooting involving DPS troopers and Flagstaff. The suspects, Marcus Gashaw and Preston Ozust, took off after a routine traffic stop last night. Troopers caught up with the armed suspects and were told both opened fire on the troopers. One trooper was hit in the hand. Gashaw was shot by troopers and later died. Investigators say both men had a history of arrests. A Pinal County detention officer who was being held behind bars and being investigated for sexual misconduct with a child was found dead inside his jail cell today. A guard noticed that Robert Bruce Hunter was unresponsive in his cell at Buckeye Jail. CPR attempts failed and Hunter was declared dead just minutes later. MCSO officers say there was no indication of distress or suicidal threats from Hunter. Mesa police arrested Hunter earlier this month, accused of sexual misconduct with a 15-year-old. He was housed alone because of his charges and because he was a former law enforcement officer.
The Arizona Department of Gaming made their first big crackdown of 2019 at a Poplar Valley hangout. The department led a multi-agency partnership in serving a search warrant at Toso's Sports Bar and Grill in Phoenix. Agents seized illegal gambling devices and winnings, and several suspects could now face charges, including multiple felonies.
With the government shutdown in week number 5, more federal workers are set to miss tomorrow's paycheck.
But lawmakers in Washington are at least starting to work together to try to pass legislation to reopen it. Today, all eyes on the Senate as a bipartisan group worked on a plan that would reopen the government for 3 weeks and consider border security issues. President Trump said he would support it if there is a down payment for the wall.
And with the shutdown in day number 34, the president is promising he will not cave in on the border wall. But he is making a rare concession on something else. Speaker Nancy Pelosi asked him to postpone his State of the Union speech in the House chamber, and the president has in fact agreed to give the address after the shutdown ends.
So now it's time for you to weigh in. When do you think the partial government shutdown will end? 1 more week maybe? 1 more month? 6 months? Or you think it'll drag on the entire year?
And you can see the results on your screen. 35% at 1 more week, 1 month 55%, 6 months at 9%, all year long. Let's hope that doesn't happen at just 1%. You can weigh in right now, 12news.com/yourvoice. New tonight, a Phoenix man who once shot a politician over a vote has now been barred from city facilities.
On August 13th, 1997, I walked into the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors auditorium and shot Mary Rose Wilcox. I have no regrets over what I did. That's what it's saying.
You have no regrets about trying to shoot Mary Rose Wilcox?
Absolutely not.
Well, you heard him say it there. In 1997, Larry Naiman shot County Supervisor Mary Rose Wilcox over a vote for a D-back stadium. 22 years later, history almost repeated itself last night when Naiman showed up to the Sun's council meeting and admitted to his crime 2 decades ago.
After those comments from Naiman, the Phoenix Police Department decided to take action. They issued a formal trespassing notice to Naiman, barring his entrance into several city facilities. Police say they will continue to monitor this situation.
With unrest growing in Venezuela as the nation isn't sure which president is in charge, the U.S. intervenes with money.
An alleged bank robber and killer denied bail, and a body found frozen in a pool. We've got tonight's crime lines.
Will the 70s make a comeback this weekend, and just how dry will conditions get?
Barry Goldwater, the politician and photographer. A peek inside the late senator's exhibit in Scottsdale.
Save some green on the greens. We've got your chance to win tickets to the Waste Management Phoenix Open.
And title this, text Team 12 right now. The number is 602-444-1212. Be sure to include your name and where you're texting from. Some of your responses right before the Tonight Show.
The Valley's #1 night team on your official home of the Waste Management.
Look, the more there is to like.
Get up to $2,000 in savings or 1.9% APR for 60 months on the 2019 Santa Fe. Only at your Valley Hyundai dealers.
Developing tonight, a new intervention as the U.S. tries to help the people of Venezuela.
It's a story that continues to unfold and really took off when a new opposition leader claimed control of the South American country.
His name is Juan Guaido, and he was immediately recognized by President Trump and most other South American countries, and even Canada. But the incumbent president, who is a socialist named Nicolas Maduro, who is considered an authoritarian leader, says, hey, I'm still in charge. When the turmoil began, Maduro ordered all U.S. diplomats out of his country.
But today, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo addressed the Organization of American States, calling on other nations to recognize Venezuela's new leader. He also vowed that the U.S. is ready to provide more than $20 million in humanitarian assistance to the people of Venezuela after years of food and medicine shortages and other dire impacts from their political and economic crisis.
The regime of former President Nicolas Maduro is illegitimate. His regime is morally bankrupt. It's economically incompetent, and it is profoundly corrupt. It is undemocratic to the core.
Secretary Pompeo said the U.S. did not arrive at this conclusion overnight.
Let's take a look at tonight's crime lines. Right now, police in Central Florida continue to search for answers after a gunman walked into a bank on Wednesday and murdered 5 people, then surrendered after a standoff with police. 21-year-old Zephon Xavier was officially charged this morning and remains locked up with no bail. Police say he admitted in a 911 call that he had shot 5 women inside the bank. So far, police have not been able to find any motive for the attack, saying that it was likely random.
And a missing New Jersey man was found weeks after he disappeared in a frozen swimming pool in another state. The body of Jose Marcial was found in an abandoned pool in Pennsylvania. He was discovered inside an uncovered in-ground pool in a construction zone. Officials say his body was encased in ice and had to be cut out. At this point, it's unclear how long his body had been there, and temperatures in that area plunged around 6 degrees earlier this week.
And when you hear the name Barry Goldwater, you might think of politics, but the former Arizona senator was also really good at taking pictures.
Yeah, the Scottsdale Museum of the West is sharing some of Goldwater's 15,000 photographs taken over the decades, compiled by his granddaughter.
They document what life was like in the desert and on the Navajo reservation in the 1940s and early 50s. If you'd like to check out the exhibit, the Museum of the West is in Old Town Scottsdale off 2nd Street and Goldwater Boulevard.
Yeah, just amazing. I was looking at some of those photos. It just, the landscape that we have across the state of Arizona is just so beautiful.
It sure is. You have the mountains, obviously, the desert, and then you have trees up across Flagstaff. We have it.
A look at some of your responses from our Title This video.
And Alexis from Phoenix says, chillin' like a villain.
I like that one. We had another one. Yes, I'm just chilling. This one says, Gator Waiter from Greg and Mesa, so we appreciate that one. Let's see, ice baby.
Oh,
that
no,
one?
there is nothing baby about that.
And this is a fun one, Gator Sickles, ha ha ha, from Paul from Santan Valley. Okay. So we had some creative ones.
Those are some pretty good ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is it? Alligators embracing the cold were literally frozen in place in the fresh water of the Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina. The manager at the park says that the gators seem to sense when the water is at its freezing point, and they poke their noses into the water at just the right moment.
Yeah, but don't worry, the alligators are fine and enter a sort of hibernation when the temperatures get so cold like that. Gosh, I lived in North Carolina 7 years. I never knew that happens there.
Wow, I wasn't too worried about that.
No,
you know?
You knew they'd be fine. We're not going to try to wake them up. All right, thanks for putting your trust in us.
Thanks for watching Arizona's most watched station. Emmy winner for overall excellence. Official local home of the 2019 Waste Management Phoenix Open and everything Arizona.
You're gonna like more for your trade and new Accords for $249 a month. It's time to trade and save. Get more for your trade than you ever imagined. And save on new Accords just $249 a month. A car and driver 10 best for 33 years running. An Accord costs less than the competition. Get more for your trade and save on Accords for $249 a month this week at your Valley Honda dealers.
Oh yeah,